My biggest fear at one point in my life was being around and talking to people. When I was 19, I had my first panic attack out of nowhere, just talking to someone. So I had clinical panic disorder and social phobia, and I avoided people. I avoided everyone. I was scared of the next panic attack because I didn't know what the hell it was. It's literally like if someone came up and put a gun to your head, it triggers fight or flight at the wrong time. So it's irrational. So I didn't know where to go, and I was hopeless, and I just couldn't see a future. I didn't want to know about, like, anxiety, what doctors were telling me that didn't deal with it. I wanted to study how you thought, or Michael Jordan, or whoever. Anybody that was successful, I wanted to know how they thought. No, this sounds really stupid. I'd rather get killed and fight you than do this. That's how
Really?
I'm deathly afraid. I wasn't gonna show up today. I wasn't gonna show up 2 hours ago. I was so scared. Deathly afraid. Deathly afraid. And my heart,
I like you.
So my heart's like...
Don't worry about it. This is good stuff, man.
Okay. Okay, so...
What are we doing, Jamie?
How about that Joby shit, huh? Is that crazy or what?
Ooh, he's almost like... When I say, he's like almost like a God-sent person.
Yeah. So he's gonna climb the tallest mountain in the world. And once he summits it, he's gonna jump off of it. I mean, that is, I can't even imagine that kind of fear.
That's the universe showing us the fortitude of man, what man's capable of doing, if he believes.
He must not be afraid to die. He must accept it.
No. Ooh, I was discussing that with him too. The only reason that we accept that is because of our fear of it.
See, that's the funny thing with
It
me.
overwhelms us so much, we just, I'm going to accept this. I'm not going to let this be bigger than me.
And it's courage. He's got to have massive courage.
Exactly.
He's got a family. Think everything he's putting on the line. I mean, he's got the mental discipline, determination, commitment. I mean,
And his illusion of
doubt.
himself.
You probably can't have any doubt going up there, can you?
No, you have to have doubt to go up there. The purpose of going up there is because no one's ever did it the way I've done it. They've done it, but not the way I've done it. And there's a reason why it's never been done the way I've done it, because there's doubt.
I mean, that's inspiring.
That it can't be done.
So, that Trevor Burbick fight, I just recently watched it with my kid. He's 6 years old. He loves you, brings you 10 times a day. Mike Tyson's Punch Out. Loves old fights, Duran, Leonard Hagler, Hearns. You know, he could tell you about Foreman, Ali, Frazier, all that stuff, all your fights. But that fight, I just watched it, and I started getting choked up by myself. Knowing everything you had to persevere in Brownsville as a kid, and then all the training you did with Cus and everybody, just the discipline, and then to get to where you were at 20. It was, I mean, if you stopped your life right there, that's better than Rocky, that story. So I guess from a fear perspective, though, I was curious because you were walking in the ring. You obviously looked fearless, right? You were the baddest man on the planet. You were going into a fight, though, where the outcome was unknown. Your first heavyweight championship fight, to be the youngest heavyweight champion in the world. You looked fearless. Burbick obviously looked real scared. Were you scared? Did you have any fear?
You know, fear is an interesting subject, because when you think of fear, what is fear? It's just, it's an illusion of something that we don't want to encounter, that probably we never encounter in our life. You know, I've met old men die at 78, 85, and their biggest fear was all in their mind. They never encountered it.
But yours was kind of real, though, right? Because you're going to fight someone.
No, but it wasn't real. The outcome, my delusion of my outcomes wasn't real, that I might get beat and that I'm nothing, that I come from nothing, so how could I be great and all that stuff. And this is very interesting that you say that. you take fear, and fear is just an emotion. So you take that emotion and you make it your friend. You know, because fear is your enemy, it'll destroy you and everything around you.
How do you control it? I know Cus talked a lot about fear is fire.
Yeah, you control fear by becoming his friend.
No, fear is like fire. If you let it get out of control, it will destroy you and everything around you. You manage to control it, you can make it work for you.
You know that the only reason
you have to embrace it.
Embrace it. The only reason I feel that I have this feeling because this is the moment before my victory.
So if you're 20 years old, when you're standing there, I guess what does it feel like the night before a big fight like that? It was your first championship. What does that feel like?
I don't.
Were you able to sleep?
I couldn't sleep. So in the middle of the night, probably 4 o'clock in the morning, I would wake up and I would call my trainer and I would say, let's hit the mitts. Look at my opponent's match. Well, I start studying my opponent. That's what I was very known for. I studied him constantly. If I go out, hang out for a while, go to the store, train, and then I come home, I just watch him.
I know you said you were deathly afraid, but supremely confident.
Absolutely.
And those are sort of opposing things. I think I know what you mean, but...
No, they're not opposing.
Okay.
Hot and cold is not opposing. You know, they're just polarities of our life. The polarity of good and evil. We need everything to exist. So we're all one. We're never opposite signs. It appears that way, but it's not. In the world and the universe, it's all one. We're related to the ants, the bugs, the trees, the dirt, the mud. We're all one.
So if someone came up to you and they said, you know, I'm deathly afraid of X, Y, Z, anxiety, maybe the future, maybe something in the past, regret, how do they become supremely confident, I guess?
Well, it comes down to saying, well, what are you afraid of? What is fear? Can you express the fear?
For me,
Can you express the feeling of fear? Can you express that?
Absolutely.
Please, I'd like to hear it too.
When I had the normal fear prior to being 19, you know, if I had to talk to people, I might not be the most comfortable in the world, but it was normal fear, right? If I had to give a speech, I was scared. And then when I had a panic attack, because I didn't know what the hell it was, it's irrational. Like if you get in the ring and there's someone there, you got to fight them, that's rational. Mine was irrational.
Really?
So then the byproduct of that is in your head, you're saying, well, something's wrong with me. I must be weak, I must be crazy, I can't hack it, I'm not good enough. And then this is very common with people though. So anxiety is, you know, one of the largest mental health problems in the country. Suicide is going way up,
hey, listen,
skyrocketing.
When you study the great minds, I'm talking about the minds before Christ. And it comes back down to, you know, from those big time guys, Solomon and all those guys, Muhammad and all those guys, even before that, thousands of years before Christ. And then you start coming down, and then you know what, you come down to Alexander the Great, you come down to Napoleon and all these great conquerors and stuff, and then you find out, so who were they? And then you start to do investigations into these guys, and most of these guys are insecure, scared, frightened, megalomaniacs.
That's interesting.
With low self-worth. But if you challenge their low self-worth, you raise them to go to the extent because they're extremists too.
Yeah.
You know, and so you would never believe you. So you look at a guy and you say, wow, this guy has so much confidence. He has that, it stems from his low self-esteem.
That makes sense.
His belief of who he is, his illusion of who he is.
So the flip side of that is I attributed the reason I was panicking and having anxiety to a low self-esteem. I was class clown in high school. I was a good athlete, all that stuff, but you know, so to make people laugh, I would bring myself down, and then some kids would make fun of you, stuff like that.
You think you're the only one?
Well, I know
There are some celebrities that are so normal and down to earth, they're so big and famous, they gotta tear themselves down to be normal. And so in order to be normal, they fall into they get high on drugs, they can't handle drugs like the normal people do because they're different than the normal people. So
that's when you won, and then fame, all that stuff, money.
So many successful people believe they don't deserve what they have. And so many people say, I don't deserve this. I've done something so bad, God will never forgive me. Why do I have this? Yeah. We can't deal with our secrets.
Or if you win the lottery.
We're as sick as our secrets. We can't handle our secrets. Our secrets destroy us.
Yeah, you gotta earn it, right? That's why people that win the lottery a lot of times lose it all, because in their head, they don't think they deserved it.
Our life is a lottery. Life is a lottery. We're looking for that. We're looking for the right message. We're looking for, subliminally, we're looking for the Messiah to come back. We're looking for an answer. We're all lost. We don't understand who we are. What is our purpose? How did we get here? What is the real story?
Yeah, like I'll drive by a cemetery, I'm like, shit, I could die tomorrow. What am I afraid of? But I still can't conquer that. Because it's like...
Hey, listen, I believe the only way we're capable of dealing with death is with our ego. That's what we have ego for. Ego tells us we're gonna... Every time we talk about death, we always talk about it. It always ends in a good note. Why can't we, because the fact is, we broke some of the deadly sins. Some of the commandments that they say we can never go to heaven to.
Right.
So our ego tells us in a way, we challenge the word of God in a way. There's no way I can't go to heaven as good as I've done for this and how much I gave to that and how much I give this. And our ego says, there's no way I can go to heaven. But still, but from the word of God, I've done this, I did all the sins, I have to go to hell. And that's how we deal with that. How do we feel that we have to go to hell? And I feel like I've been a good person.
Right. How do you reconcile that?
I broke a few laws in the holy books and stuff.
Right.
But I've done so much. I gave more finance than everybody in the book gave in biblical times. Right. And they went to heaven. How can I not go to heaven? Right. They bought their way to heaven. Why can't I buy my way to heaven in the present?
Yeah, it's not a scale, right?
Yeah.
How do you add it up?
And then we start questioning the book, and then I go like this.
Yeah.
Do you know how wise those people are?
Yeah.
And those holy books, sometimes you want to challenge them. That's bull.
Right.
And then can I tell you something? How could a guy that's how old is about 5,000 something to whatever it is, right? How could a guy back then with no distractions, not be more intelligent than the guy that lives in this present time with all these distractions?
Everywhere.
How could this guy think he's smarter than that guy? How could this guy can never see what that guy eyes saw?
So do you think people back then they examined life maybe more than today?
I think they're more in tune with themselves.
Yeah.
And they had their great
Without
ego.
all the
yeah, and they
phones
had
and all
their
this
great
crap.
ego too. They had more time to
Comparisons. I think comparisons
yeah, they
are
had more
dangerous.
time to invest in themselves, to discover what's going on with here, what's going on with the stars, the moon, the ocean.
In terms of, I guess, methods that you and Cus worked on, when he got you out of Brownsville, what were the methods that you guys used to combat fear and to perform under pressure? I know we talked about coward and the hero. Does that?
Yeah, but it has to do more with your instincts and confidence. Confidence is and discipline. Cus D'Amato's discipline strategy was this. Discipline was doing what you hate to do, but doing it like you loved it.
I love that. So
That's
you gotta love
discipline.
adversity.
Yeah, whatever comes that you gotta do, you hate it too much, you gotta love it. You
know
hate
what
taking
story-
up the garbage, you gotta love it. You hate mopping and sweeping the floor, you have to do it like you love it.
Like how many hours a day were you training where he's doing this stuff?
Listen, we train, we come home, we do our work, and we talk about psychological things, and we said, that helps, just washing dishes, doing your chores, that helps you become a better fighter. Everything I did equated to me becoming a better fighter. Going for a walk, going up the stairs.
So it's kind of like the Karate Kid.
Yes, everything I did was about fight. The reason why you become a better fighter because you do your discipline. Your discipline is doing your chores. You hate your chores, do them like you love them.
So, you know what story I love is, I think it was Jack Johnson, I could be getting this wrong. I think it was a guy named Jeffrey.
Jeffrey.
1910.
Yes, Jeffries is this
And
man.
I think it was a racist crowd.
Yes.
I think he was racist, Jeffrey,
Yes.
I could be wrong. And I think they were being pretty insulting to Jack Johnson. And instead of breaking him down, I think the story is that he smiled. He got hit, actually, and
listen.
he smiled at adversity, and that broke Jeffrey.
Jack Johnson
sometimes
was
we
a
gotta
different
look
kind.
alike.
Listen, Jack Johnson was a different kind of person. It's hard to even define them in this time. So listen, just imagine living in a time where you should feel like the way you feel now. Most blacks felt the way you felt
Right.
in this time. Say in 1910, 1908.
Can't even imagine.
Right. You could walk down the street and I could boom, shoot you, kill you, and just walk.
Right.
And maybe I get a ticket for leaving you in the street. I should have moved you out the street.
Right,
Other
right,
than
right.
that, it's no law for killing a black person or nothing like that. And so during that time, he would box with the guys, laugh at them, talk to the girlfriend, told him what he was gonna do to them around, talk to them. But you didn't do that stuff. Most people were afraid to look at them in the eye. And he was so bad about their mothers and beat them him up and this and that. And so he would go to the same prostitute house that everybody else go to, and he would date some of the girls, and the girls that he would date, none of the guys would ever date them again. So he would just have cars, he would drive, and people would give him tickets, so he'd give him $100, say, hey, take this for that $50 ticket, and take the whole 100, because I'm gonna be coming just the way I was going.
Yeah.
And he was arrogant and disrespectful and married 3 white women back in 1900.
1910, right?
Yeah, they killed you for a reckless eyeball for looking that way.
How did he get away with that?
He had him, of course, when you let people admire you, even powerful people admire that. They admire greatness. I don't care what color you are, what race you are, what ethnic you are. When people see something like that, they marvel at it.
So when you look at great champions like that, and you're talking, about their spirit and their will, is
absolutely.
that so? The mindset to be a great heavyweight champion like yourself, Ali, Jack Johnson, Joe Louis, down the line. What do you think are the biggest and best characteristics that are required?
Listen, I don't put myself in the same category with those guys. And because I know what those guys are made of, I really do. And I think that with those qualities you're talking about, with their self-belief in themselves, not necessarily the belief in themselves, but the belief in what they were capable of doing and their skills. Right. They had more belief in their skills than they did in their personal life. They had more belief to believe this is going to take me to where I need to go, and to keep them sharp.
And you didn't believe that about yourself?
No, but I just
like even at your best, when you were in your prime, did you not feel that you were the baddest man on the planet, and that your skills were up to par with anybody in history?
Yes, I believe that. I believe that. That doesn't necessarily mean it's true.
Okay, I see.
But I believe that, and I received the benefits of believing that. And then somebody said, well, if you believe it and it's happening, then it's true.
Right.
But only in a certain element, in a certain dimension.
So did your goals change from, I think you started at 12 and went to Catskill. Did he always say, hey, you're going to be the youngest heavyweight champion, that's our goal, or did it evolve over time?
No, listen, when he first saw me and he said, I summoned you, he said, I was thinking about you, now you appeared. When he first met me, he had me all planned out what my life was going to be, if it was going to happen to me, as soon as he met me.
Wow.
It was really scary, it's freaky to this day. I don't even know who the hell he was. What the hell was his purpose? How did he talk to me and get me from being that guy, and then a little scared, immature kid that was scared of life, and then thinking that I need to be mentioning the same name as Alexander the Great and Achilles? Where did that mindset come from? How did that happen?
He must have seen something in you
he saw something I could never conceive.
Other than boxing, though.
I don't know what he saw, I can't even conceive what he saw.
He must have seen something, because there's a lot of good athletes out there, right? He must have seen something other than just being a great boxer and athlete, because you have, in my opinion, just tremendous spirit. I've never seen anybody, that's why people relate to you. They're not going to relate to your highs because they're so high. Nobody knows what it's like to be heavyweight champion. But some of your lows, people are going to relate to. I'm not going to get into them, but people relate to it. And your ability to get back up and succeed is unparalleled. Everything. You ultimately get back up and succeed. So maybe that's what he saw. He saw a spirit. Maybe you were down, but he saw that you're gonna fight.
No, that's not what he saw. That's what he gave me. He didn't see that. He saw me without that, and that's what he's given me.
So do you think you'd be here today if you never met him?
No way.
Man.
No way. I would be nothing. Listen, I am nothing. Listen, this guy, I don't know who this guy is. This is the only day in my life I can't put my finger on. Who is this guy? Why did he come in my life?
So if you had a hypothetical, this is obviously hypothetical, podcast, and Cus is here, and you wanted to ask him something, or tell him something, what do you think you'd be interested in knowing?
Well, first I would say, how did you know?
Right.
And then I would say, how did you think I did?
I think, yeah. And what do you think's the answer to that? He said, I remember he said, you kept him alive as long as he did. You lost to Tillman twice. In the amateurs, sparring partners, some folks beat you. So some people had this thing where you were going through Cupcake City. That's not true. You lost to Tillman twice.
No, but listen, no.
You came back and beat him.
No, but before
I think
that,
it's
but before that, like, how did he know this was gonna happen? I was getting beat. I got knocked out. I was getting beat a lot. How did he know this was gonna happen?
So early
he kept
on,
telling me
you were.
this shit was gonna happen.
So early on, you were getting beat a lot.
Yeah, but he kept telling me this was gonna happen. I didn't believe him. I almost lost hope in him, but I stuck with him and believed with him.
And then everything that he told you
quit so
came
many
true.
times. Yeah, I didn't quit.
That's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
I was afraid of him too, and I respected him so much. Oh God!
What did it feel to be given from Brownsville, where you came from, all the crap you dealt with there? What did it feel just to be loved like that? I think what he's talking about is he loved you.
I don't know. I don't handle that stuff good.
No, I get it.
Because people you love, and you get that feeling of love, and then something happens, they die. And then that feeling, something happens to that feeling. But it's not the same feeling, but something happens to it. And I can't explain that feeling, but it's not a good feeling. I can't explain the relation to it. I tried. If Cus told me to kill somebody, I would kill them. And I don't mean to be extreme, but I'm trying to
get
explain
it. He built your confidence in your. I think, here's what's similar to the anxiety, where I was at the end of my rope. I couldn't see a future. Matter of fact, I went, here's the kind of the quick story. I chose to fight it. I went into sales on purpose. I was going to kill myself. So I said, I'm going to fight this thing, and I'm going to go into the hardest thing I can go into. And I did. First week on the job, we had this guy who was probably like Cus a little bit. He was tough, and he didn't put up with excuses, and you had to show up. And he didn't care if you had an anxiety disorder. You had to hit your quota. If you missed it for a month, you were fired. So the pressure was already high. Grown men were breaking down. He put me on stage, and for somebody that has social phobia and panic disorder, the worst thing is to have lights, cameras, be on stage. That's the worst possible thing, to not be able to escape. Though it triggers all your symptoms, right? So you had to present in front of this guy and sell him, this tough guy, on a stage in front of hundreds of people. So I'm going up there, I'm already about to have a panic attack. And I start crying internally, I'm about to start crying, right? I'm weird where I'm pretty closed. It's not a good quality, I hold stuff in too much. I wish I was more emotional. It's a bad quality that I have. But I was holding it in, and I was sitting down, chair and chair on the stage, and I had to sell him. And I started to cry. And I was going to break down where I couldn't talk. And I just would have had to walk. I was 21 years old, would have had to walk out and leave. He got a phone call at the last second, and he said, he knew I was scared. And he said, you got saved, and you're doing this next week. So I went, and talking about support, my mom, I was eating dinner, my head fell in the pasta, bawling, crying, couldn't see a future. And that's when I went to the train tracks, and it was a choice, right? To fight it or give up. So I think part of it, and I had to reprogram my brain, and I said, I'm gonna fight this thing. I gotta program everything out of it that was negative. I had a lot of negative things. I thought I was weak, all this stuff. But going back to Cus, I think it's the same process, it sounds like.
Exactly.
Building you up from maybe nothing.
Listen, this is...
But you did the work, though. You did the work.
Listen, like you were saying that this guy would fire you. Imagine if you couldn't quit, but you wanted to. Imagine if you couldn't quit. Imagine if he programmed you to believe if you quit, you're nothing. In your mind, if you're a quitter, you're nothing, you're worth nothing. You're not worth having a woman, you're not worth having kids, you're not worth existing. Imagine if that's programming, but he did it kindly without really saying it to you. Imagine thinking the only way to be a man is to follow his method. The only way people will love and respect you is to follow his method of life.
So essentially you were brainwashed, which I did myself. I did myself.
Yeah.
But,
I went to the doctor, the brainwash put me under, I went through the whole
You're doing
thing.
hypnosis, right, at 12?
Yeah.
Man, I've thought of doing that recently.
Yo, listen, it's beautiful. You gotta be in tune with it, man, because you need to find out what this is before we leave this planet. We have to find out who we are.
But there was a lot of positives to that too, though. So it got you to a place where you were strong, confident. But I get the other side of it.
Yeah, but what about life? I didn't know how to handle life.
Right.
How do you live in life being a megalomaniac?
Impossible.
No is a foreign language. And when you hear no, you know this is my enemy.
So you
Can
were...
you imagine that this guy
No.
said, no, that's my enemy. She said, no, that's my enemy.
No.
No is my enemy.
So you were trained to be sort of David and Goliath at the same time, and Goliath is going to fall.
No, only thing I represented with David was my desire, but I'm totally Goliath.
That's interesting.
You better be scared of me. If you don't, I'll crush you.
Yeah, yeah.
That kind of stuff, you know?
So you had no option to quit. If you wanted to quit, you had no option to.
No, it had no psychological option.
I see.
Do you understand the
Yeah.
psychological option? That supersedes my physical attributes by so many million leaps I don't even exist when you compare the two.
So all those times in life where you got back up, all these different hard things, and you always get back up and you succeed. Everything you've done, you've succeeded. I mean, it's incredible.
And listen, and this is interesting. I know
But do you think it was in Cus's?
Oh, absolutely. Know
I guess.
what it is?
How low were you? As low as I was at one point in your life, like
listen.
suicidal?
All my life, I still think about suicide.
Still do.
Yeah.
And you got it made right now.
Yeah. Suicide is different. Suicide is inherited. Suicide over years and years and thousands of generations. You know what I mean? And the genes sometimes stick to somebody. It goes thousands of years, maybe hundreds, or maybe not years, and it sticks with somebody. Somebody gets it after 1,000, somebody 100, maybe after 10 years. It has that duration where it sticks at a certain time.
So you've had multiple times in your life where you...
Absolutely. Over love, over failure, over what else? Yes, self-hate, yes, mistakes, thinking I'm useless and stuff.
And that's what's amazing, because you're obviously so open, and that's, you know, a gift to everybody else, because there's so many people today, and I think it's increasing. What's obvious, suicide's skyrocketing.
Hey, listen.
But everybody's got problems. And because you're the champ, you're talking about this, somebody that's really successful at everything you've done, you've succeeded.
Hey,
and
no,
you're
listen,
telling...
When I'm down and low and feel like suicide and stuff, sometimes I want to stay down there. I want to be low and down because
I get it.
Because then sometimes my ego comes up. My ego tells me I'm beautiful. And then it builds me back up, and then I'm that ugly person again. I got life.
You say ego goes up, I go down?
My ego.
Ego goes up, I go down? Is that what you said?
No, when I'm down, I feel better when I'm down and low and suicidal than when my ego comes in my head and it tells me I'm beautiful and how stupid you are to think about doing this. How many people you can manipulate and molest and love and have and do this, and how much wealth you can get off your name and do this and that. You are so powerful, you'll lose this weight, you'll get back in your clothes and you'll be beautiful again. Why not live? Why die like a bum? Your mother died that way, your father died that way, you're beautiful, you're not like them, you're better than them. And that's what people think is great about me. And sometimes when I make these great comebacks, I hear myself telling myself how great I am. I hear myself talking. I say, I wish that stopped. I wish I could blow my, I wish I, not kill me, but kill that fucking noise.
No, I get it. I get it.
But everybody loves me because that noise got me here, and then that noise said, now you're going to listen to this fucking guy. I got you all the way up here, and you're going to listen to this guy talk about kill your fucking ego. No, I'm serious. That's what my ego says.
Yeah.
Now, Mike, I got you where you could be, and this guy wouldn't even interview your motherfucking ass when you were down and low and thinking about killing yourself. Now, I got you where you can be interviewed by this motherfucker, and he's going to tell you to kill me. No, listen, now, that's when I know you're going to say this is some weird shit, but that's what my ego says to me. No one should think they're better than people. Nobody should have that ego mentality. Right. But still, it keeps me alive. It keeps people alive. And how do you tell somebody to throw that stuff away? And it should be thrown away.
Is it pride cometh before the fall? Like the same concept? Like if your ego goes up, you need to be humbled.
Hey, listen, that scares me. You said that. I was thinking that yesterday too. I was thinking, I said, God, is God's gonna humble me? Because I need to be more humble.
So does it scare you because right now things seem, you tell me if I'm wrong, seem to be pretty good?
No, it's
and could be going up.
It's not that
does that scare you though to get back to that?
Sometimes I have the notion to think that I might be somebody special. You know, the elements of the universe, God, has a good sense of humor. And we can never forget that.
Right.
Because sometimes I take myself serious. I think I'm special, and then God humbles me and makes me say, hey, you're getting older, you're coming to die. Are you going to get on your knees yet and tell me that you're nobody and I'm almighty?
And going back to someone that might be down and out and hopeless right now, anybody in life, there's a lot of them out there. To go back to boxing, you can always do a counterpunch, right?
No, not the counterpunch. It's just a moment. It won't last forever.
That's great. So is that kind of Tony Robbins where he said the past does not equal your future?
No.
Your current reality is not always what the future is going to be.
It's just a moment in time. I used to be on drugs all the time, and I used to think this is what I was going to do. And this girl said, Mike, this is just a moment.
I love that.
You gotta prepare for when this moment is over. So we have to prepare for the moment to be over. This is a moment, you're going through this.
Yeah, it's fleeting.
Yeah, but it's gonna be a moment. So what are you gonna do when this moment is over? You're not gonna wanna do what you did before. You're not gonna wanna do dope no more. Cause that's what happens. You do dope some more and then you say, oh, I don't wanna do this no more.
Yeah.
And then you're stuck with something you don't want to do.
And it's a new thing. And then your life can start over.
Oh, that's
at
what's
any
so
time,
beautiful
starting
about
right
life,
now.
because you can always start over.
Yeah.
Even if you're in prison, you can start over. You can start a new way of thinking.
So your transformation is amazing, because it seems to be loving ego prior to this, fame, power, ego in your heyday, and now it seems about humility and kindness.
Hey, listen, that's where I want to go. And then
I have so many friends right now that are really successful, doing really well, top of the world. Some of them are athletes that are burgeoning superstars. Some are business people. They're on top of the world. And is that sort of potentially, are there pitfalls obviously in that?
I know, it's all about having emotional intelligence. What's your degree of emotional intelligence? That's what it really comes down to. And when I say emotional intelligence, that word is probably not 50 years old. That's the word that's been invented by some gentleman, this doctor. But anyway, it's just, it has a lot of meaning to it. How do we control our emotions? How do we control what guides us, and we've been driven by it from the beginning of time? Now, how do we put that in check?
Well, I think, like you said, there's a portion where you come from, your parents, your upbringing, whatever. Biology.
How do we tell somebody that we're madly in love with, that they give us the inspiration for living, and we say, hey, we got to put this feeling in check for this moment? How do you do that? Just for this moment. We can't do it for a tenth of a second, but we need to do it for at least 30 minutes or an hour. We have to put that emotion that keeps us alive. We have to put that in check and deal with that person that gives us that feeling of everlasting existence. Now, we got to put that in check and be serious and deal with another level of emotions. Now, how do you do that? How do you develop that kind of emotional intelligence? How do you do it? Just tell me, how do you do it?
I mean, I think from you.
How do you do it with your mother? How do you do it with your father?
For
or
me,
your wife, or your girlfriend, or your daughter, who got you whipped, that you can't do, you wrapped around her finger. How do you do that? How do you separate that? There's people that do it, but then after you do it, after you let it go, the relationships change. Mm-hmm. You have to be careful. You have to be wise what comes out your mouth.
So when you're in a relationship, are you kind of all in, or do you have some closed doors?
I'm all in, but I'm very cautious with what I say. So this is planned out. I learned, this is so simple. I learned how to pick battles. And I know that sounds...
I used to be terrible at that.
I know that sounds so cliche.
Yeah. Or cliche,
yeah.
It's because is it because you wanted to win before? I was competitive, I wanted to win. If there was an argument, I wanted to find a way to win it. And then you realize it doesn't work.
When you win, you gotta sleep on the couch. Right?
Yeah.
And your kids are mad too.
Right.
When know how you tell the boss of the house? This is how I learned. This is new. Now I can tell them about the boss of my house. I think I'm the boss. I know how I tell them who the boss is. I watch my dog. My dog tells me who the boss of the house is. And it's my wife.
I love it.
Yeah, no, really. The dog will tell who the boss is.
Why the dog?
Because the dog goes to her. Everything he wants, he goes to her. He plays with us, but the main thing, if he's hungry, he goes to her. If he wants to go out, he starts going around her. They have a relationship. I don't have a relationship. I play with him for a certain amount. The kids play with him, but we don't have relationships.
Then the dog goes away?
Relationship.
Maybe he thinks you're going to bring in a tiger and the tiger's going to eat
No,
it.
it's just, they're smart. Listen, animals, dogs, cats, when you keep them in the house, I realize they are conscious. They know when someone's coming to our house before the guy comes in the gate. They know a car is coming through our gate and it's coming to our house, so they go to the door. How do they know the car's coming here? They go to the door. Maybe they think they're going to see a car go by. I don't know why. But why do they come to the door before the car comes through the gate?
They got instinct, yeah.
We're on the phone and they're saying somebody's coming at the gate. We say, let them in. The dog's at the door waiting for them.
Instinct.
Yeah, their consciousness.
Oh, can I talk about the Broadway play real quick?
Go for it.
So your life, you've had so many fearful situations, and you seem to confront them head on. I mean, you put yourself in some spots of humiliation, massive risk. I mean, boxing inherently has that. But this Broadway play, how did that compare to a big title fight in terms of nerves?
You just don't want to be humiliated. Listen, I did my show in Vegas first. And we said, this is what we're going to do. We're going to invite all of our friends. So we got like 900 friends, friends who will love other people that we know. Or maybe it's got all the friends from all the production company. We got all our friends. Yeah. We got tickets for them. And so we did the play, right? Yeah. And the premise of the play was to be, I come from a gritty, tough town. I'm a tough guy. Right. I came up, I'm gonna be a tough guy, and people try to do this, and I taught well, and I was this and that. Yeah. And so when I started talking about my story, and I was saying some things that I thought should have been kind of sad, like, people started laughing. Wow. Like I'm talking about I didn't have a father, and I got scared. Yeah. I ran to my wife and said, baby, what to do? They're laughing, what the fuck to do? She said, well, if they laugh, just keep it up, keep doing what you're doing. And I kept doing it, and it turned out to be like a strong, kind of violent, tough thing into a comedy. Can you believe that?
Are you happy that?
Yeah, I'm so happy that it's just ordained by the divine. But listen, I wanted to express myself as a tough guy, and they were laughing at me.
Yeah, you had to take what the audience was giving you.
Yeah, and it turned into a comedy. We turned it into a comedy.
But just the performance of that, though, just the balls it would take to go on stage. I mean, to be a thespian on Broadway. I just can't. What were you thinking, and how did you, in terms of going back to people that are scared,
I saw Chad
dealing with pressure?
the guy that did, he did a bunch of great shows, but he did this one show in particularly, right? It did this one show, and it was brilliant. I went with my wife to see it, and I said, wow. And because it was like 900 people, but you could hear like a mouse pissing on cotton. They were so focused on him. Yeah. And I said, baby, I want to do this. I think I can do this. Wow. And we studied and did it, and then somebody from the Vegas stage world said they wanted to do a show, but they didn't know how they were going to do a show with me. He was just thrown in there. Right. And my wife wrote something down. We did it. It was a sensational hit. Everybody from all over the country, all over the world.
Your wife wrote it?
Yeah. And so
how nervous were you, though, going up there?
Woo!
Man. Worse than a boxing match?
Yes. But even though I felt all that stuff, just like the boxing match, just like you, but you won't say it. And I'm going to tell you, when I say this, you're going to say you're right. Even though I was scared to death like that, I knew I belonged here. Yeah. Just like you're scared, but you know you belong here.
I don't know if I do.
But you sure? You have to. After overcoming this, listen.
You know what?
Listen.
Yeah.
After overcoming this fear, coming to see me, you're a white guy, and you heard my kind of antics and shit. Nigga, listen, you got it.
Yeah.
I can imagine how this must feel.
I feel pretty good right now. It shifted from I wasn't going to show up because I was so scared to now I feel comfortable, but I'm worried I'm not doing a great job.
No, you're doing a great job, because what we're doing, and we're talking, this is called mind stuff. You know what I mean? And it's cryptic to some people, but when they get older and they hear it, and then they say, wow, because this is what we all do in a certain form of life when you get in your 40s, your 50s. You start thinking about God.
You have more years behind you than ahead, right?
Yeah, you start thinking about God a lot, because you know you get closer to faith in Him, so to speak.
Right.
So we try to, how do I say this? It's not buy your way to heaven, but we trying to get some brownie points.
No, that makes sense.
You know, we're trying, I'm working on my brownie points and stuff.
So you're obviously very spiritual.
I don't know if I am. I'm just very, what's that word again? I like to explore.
So your goal is to be just a good human, it sounds like. It sounds like that's one of your goals anyway, or direction you want to go in. Or how do you define that?
I want to be able to contribute some kind of way.
Yeah.
To humanity.
I think this is just me, your story is your purpose, because at least one of them, right? In my eyes. There's going to be a kid out there that's suicidal, that is bullied as a kid, that, if you had a time machine, you fly back to any point in your life where you're super down, maybe when you're 12 years old in Tryon. What would you tell that kid, or to yourself at various times in your life when somebody's hopeless?
Never give up in life, you know what I mean? And never lose hope for a better life. You know what I mean? Never lose hope for a better life.
I mean, I think that is you in a nutshell.
Yes.
Your transformation.
Never lose hope for a better
I've never
life.
seen anybody overcome that much adversity and transcend it, and then look at the other side, and you're
You know
always
what I found
evolving.
out? You know what I found out about life? Even though I verbally do, but spiritually I don't take myself seriously at all. I know I'm nothing.
That's the amazing thing about you is the humility.
I know I'm
Is the
nothing.
humility. In terms of, motivation, going back to early boxing, like teenage years, was part of your motivation to be something? You're saying nothing but to get out of Brownsville, which at that time, I guess, is nothing,
Yeah.
and problematic. Were you fighting Trevor Burbick, or were you fighting
No.
Brownsville?
I'm fighting myself.
At 20 years old when you were fighting Burbick?
Oh yeah,
I've never seen anybody
I'm
down.
fighting for Cus. Because if I fail, then Cus fail, and I'm not gonna let Cus fail no matter if I die. I'm not gonna let him fail. I'm gonna fail
Man.
before he fails. I'm not gonna let him fail. And so yeah, see that my life, Cus based my life around fear too, the control of fear.
He talked a lot about fear.
Yeah, and so my premise was all about fear. Everybody's afraid of Mike. I'm afraid. You must have heard that. Everybody lost before they got in the ring, and that's what I did. And
Yeah, yeah.
without knowing it, he gave me that.
So would he talk about this stuff like every...
What is that?
Like every day is he talking about this stuff, or is it once in a while?
Yeah.
I mean, is this just pounding home every day, bam, 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 bam?
Every second of the day.
So those times when you were down, did you hear Cus's voice saying, "Get the hell back up, get up"? Did you ever hear that
No,
in the back of your mind because of all this mental
No, I
stuff?
hear that ego. It's never Cus's voice. It's never my voice. It's always that voice that I can't explain. No one hears it but me. The voice that you hear that you hear me talking to you right now, that energy right now, that you hear my voice, that tells me, shit. You know, just like everybody else, we hear things that we can't tell people we hear because people would think that we're fucking crazy.
Right. So what are you fearful now? What do you get afraid of now? And how do you manage it? What scares you now about the future, I guess? Anything? Or do I just drink this and I'm...
Beautiful stuff.
It's actually pretty darn good.
You know, what I feel now is not me. It's just about how my children are going to survive this world. And listen, I think
Because the world is scary, because you're worried how your kids are going to...
respond from the world. You know, listen, you look at a person, you have any children?
Yeah.
How many
Just
children?
one.
How old?
6.
Wow, this is interesting. Girl or boy?
Boy.
You have a little boy.
He says your
right?
name 10 times a day. I'm
Really?
not making this up.
But listen, since that, so say he gets 15, 14 years, 16, 17 years old, and then all of a sudden he falls in love. Whoa, how do you handle love? Really, how do you handle love? How do you deal with love? How do you deal with the dark side of love? Betrayal. How do you deal with love? How do you
I think that the only way...
Who prepared you for that?
I don't think there's any way unless you go through it, unless somebody tells you that this is what's going to happen, and somebody...
You know, if you're not programmed right, love would devastate you.
Well, you obviously dealt with, I'm not going to go down that road, but betrayal, so like, number one, it's loss. So how do you deal with loss and pain? So those are the things, it's loss. How do people deal with loss? And that, I mean, you could tell someone, but,
yeah, but
they got to figure it out on their own, it sounds like, right?
it's how we think about ourselves. Do we have the tools to tell our brain that this is tough, but we're going to handle this,
Yeah.
we're going to get through this, and we're going to become a better person from this? And this is going to be one of my lucky stripes. This is going to be my medal of honor by overcoming this. But do we have those skills at that stage of our life? No.
No way. I don't have it now.
No.
Let alone then. How much of does choice play a part in that? Like the choice, obviously everything's a choice we make, right? So when you get hurt, you can respond one way, but that takes guidance.
Choice is not good. It's just being honorable to the choice you make. We all make choices, and sometimes we go beyond our choices and we renege. But not to renege on your choice and to stay fast on your choice. Now that's
Character.
special. Yeah,
Commitment.
that's special. That's commitment. Yeah.
Yep.
Because we all make choices and then we go back on our choices sometimes.
So when you look in big picture, do you care how you remembered your legacy and all that, or how do you think about that?
I can't care it because it is what it is.
It's too, yeah.
It is what it is.
Right.
It's, how can I say I care about it, because I do care about it, but this is what it is. It's not that I can make it painted and make it, this is who it is. This is what
Did you always think this way, I guess, this mature about all this?
No, I just know this is who I am, and I don't, certain things
Yeah, what are you going to do about
certain
it?
things I'm not able to change. Like certain
Right.
stages of my life, I can't read the Quran or the Bible or
Right.
stuff like that. I'm not intellectually involved with God at that moment, or the scriptures of God at that moment.
Right. So it's a gradual evolution.
Yeah, that comes in
It's
the
where you are at
yeah.
that time, I see what you're saying.
Exactly.
And that was the biggest thing. I guess my guess is boxing's the same, is in a way beating anxiety, where it's gradual progress.
It's all about where our desires at. Wherever our desires are, we're gonna excel.
As long as you're committed, right?
Exactly.
So are you like a big picture guy, or do you sort of day by day, step by step, gradual progress?
Gradually.
And that's what was with me.
Gradually.
So you're gonna laugh at this?
No,
Yeah.
gradually, but never losing focus of the big picture.
I got you.
Visiting the big picture every day, but we're taking the small steps getting to, but I'm just visiting it every day, every moment of the day.
So if your dream was to be the youngest heavyweight champion ever, you got to attach goals to dreams, right? If your goal was, hey, I just want to be a great boxer, you'd never become that.
No, for instance, we two fighters, we're hanging out. We did our workout and everything, and it's nighttime, and we're talking, and then I go like this, come on, man, let's go run 5 miles. It's bored, let's go run 5 miles.
Yeah.
The next thing you know, you come from 5 miles, and you say, let's walk back. Because we ran 5, now we're walking, now we did 10 miles. You know what I mean? Next thing you say, hold this pad for me, hold this for me. Let's do some push-ups. Let's play
Right.
dice for push-ups.
Up in the ante.
You know, we gamblers, but we're not doing it for money. We're doing it for push-ups.
Right.
The bank's 1,000 push-ups. How much you got? How much you got? I got 50. I got 100. I got 150. I got this. I got, and that's how we play.
So it's all competing up.
Everything's about improving yourself as a fighter.
Self-improvement, yep.
Yeah. I got to go to the store today. The store's 3 miles away. I'm gonna run to the store, buy my stuff. I'm running back. I'm going to out tonight, so I'm going out tonight. I'm partying. Oh, it's 10 o'clock. The party's getting late. The party's to 1 o'clock, but it's 10. All right, it's 11. How do I get home? I live 3-4 miles. I'm running home. I got my shoes and everything. We're running home. It's all about improving, getting better. Everything's equated to boxing.
Commitment
the
to
whole
excellence.
life. You eat dinner. After you know, shit, I eat too much. I'm going to run to the gym. Everything is equated to boxing. Eating. You're going with your girlfriend. Okay, my girlfriend. I'm running from my girlfriend's house home.
And how long
There's
did
no
that last
taxes
for,
in
where
it.
you were living like that? Because at some point, I'm sure once you had some fame, some power,
No,
some
it
money,
happened for me since I was from
13, 12,
13 to 19.
and then you sort of shut that down?
No, but I had to move to the city. And I moved, but I still live that lifestyle.
But were you always preparing, let's say in your like late 20s, early 30s, were you preparing like you did when you were 18, 17,
Yes.
19? You always
Yes.
did? Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Even if I didn't work out that day, I always walked 10 miles.
So you're a lot of dualities. So like, you're probably the only person that had a pet, a tiger and a pigeon.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty awesome. Now, nobody can say that. I don't think anybody can.
No, listen, man. Listen, let me tell you something. Since the beginning of time, right? This is what my mentor, Cus D'Amato, told me, and it's true. There's nothing new under the sun. There's been emperors since before Christ that had all the beautiful exotic pigeons in the world. The guys that conquered Egypt and took all their pigeons, and guys that had tigers before me, had circus before Christ. This never stopped. You know, Alexander the Great was a multi-billionaire too during his time. This money game never stopped.
So the psychology of the tiger was more about that, was about
Ferocity.
ferocity.
The tiger, the word ferocious came up when somebody watched the tiger.
Was it ever aggressive with you?
Yes, they're very aggressive.
What'd you do when it would, I mean, obviously it could have eaten you if you wanted to.
Yeah.
So was it ever
love
close?
it.
Was it
It's
ever
lovely.
close where you're like, uh-oh, thing might eat me?
They're just like people. They just want to be loved. They just don't believe no one loves them. Isn't that a tiger? Doesn't believe anyone loves them.
That's interesting.
A tiger does. But a lion knows everybody loves him. He has the biggest ego in the world. I could take a lion and put him around my family, and he's like a dog. If somebody come in the house, I'll go, hey, sick him, get him.
Yeah, he'll
Can't
do
do
it.
that with a tiger.
No way.
No, but a lion is like a dog.
Yeah, yeah. So would people were they just walking around the house?
Yeah.
Like a dog, same thing?
Yeah.
So what if like a buddy came over, spent the night, and
Well, no, he couldn't
Goes
do that.
down to the kitchen
No, he couldn't
and-
do that. He had to be, listen, he had to be properly introduced to them. He couldn't do that. No.
oh man,
He
that's
just walk in
hilarious.
the house. No.
Yeah, he's drunk, goes to the fridge, and all of a sudden
But
there's
that's
a
what
tiger.
happens.
Yeah.
Well, with my wife, who was my girlfriend,
Yeah.
that came in and I catch her right on and grab the ass. What the fuck? She said, whoa. They feel that force.
Ate the neighbor's dog or something? You ever have people bitching about your tiger?
No, but my neighbor was Wayne Newton, and he had Arabian horses, magnificent horses, and I see my tigers, they always look over there.
That is hysterical. Well, I don't know, this is really nice of you, and you're a huge hero of mine inside and out of the ring for the transformation you're making. I know at one point you were sort of chasing darkness. It sounds like you're chasing light.
We have to understand something in this world we live into, and before in order for us to leave this world, we have to endure a lot of pain. We can't leave
It's a
unless
great
we do
teacher.
that. You know?
It's a great teacher.
But
One thing is
It's
perspective.
how we handle that pain.
I think perspective helps you handle pain. When I was at my lowest, I would read, do you know like Viktor Frankl? You ever hear of that?
No.
So I'll send you the book. So it's Man's Search for Meaning, Viktor Frankl.
I heard of that.
This guy was going to get killed. He was a Jew going to Auschwitz, death camp. And everybody was dying around him. Everybody was dying. One guy had a dream next to him that, liberation was going to happen on a certain day. It was a dream that they were going to be saved. Didn't happen. He lost hope and died. This Viktor Frankl said, make a long story short, his freedom came from choosing a response, and that gave him power. So when other people were stealing food, they had bodies and trains stacked up on top of each other. They're working all day, no shoes and snow, death all around them. So people would steal food and stuff like that. He would give it away. And his purpose was a choice. I'm probably not giving this justice, but what I took out of it was that in the worst possible circumstance, this guy can make a choice, and that choice gave him freedom, and he ultimately lived and is, partially changing the world with his inspiration. So,
I'm a strong believer that life is beautiful. During even slavery time, it was a moment where the slaves were happy for that moment that we talk about. That moment in life that we get periodically. It's a small moment in time that we get when we're in that moment, and it's beautiful. And they were happy, there was laughter, there was good stuff. So life is beautiful even during the worst time. During the times of the Jews were slaves during Egypt time, it was a time where they must have got around and celebrated and was happy, even though some people died that week. It was a moment when we did laugh.
well, look at Jack Johnson. Goes back to Jack. I mean, that story means a lot to me. He was in a horrible spot, horrible. Who the hell would want to fight? The whole crowd's racist, right? Heckling him. And this guy had
Hey, nigga, you're gonna die after the fight.
And what he do? He smiled. He got hit and smiled. Jackie Robinson, he had the whole African American culture on his back. Talk about anxiety. So if he failed, they all failed. That's how he felt.
Well, listen.
And I guarantee he had panic attacks and anxiety.
No, but listen to this. You heard what you just said? Now imagine what kind of an egotistical maniac that is. Imagine if I failed this whole race. To think that you carry this race.
That's
great too, but just to think, what kind of balls you have to think that? That's fucking godly balls.
Well,
to think that this whole race of people, millions of people are riding on my back. I'm responsible. Just to think that.
But what if, I get what you're saying.
That, you know what I mean?
I get what you're saying. But he was the first, I don't know if he historically was, but I think he was one, if not the first, black baseball player, professional. So he was the test. So in his head, he was like, I have to succeed. I have to. And he had this pressure on him. He would go home and talk to his wife. And he had anxiety. They didn't call it panic attacks back then. He had massive anxiety. He was carrying this weight.
He must have.
Carrying this weight.
You know, when he was hitting them, people were booing him, throwing cats,
death
black
threats.
cats, and
he
all
had
that
death
stuff.
threats. He had everything. So people like that
But guys like
inspire
that
me.
cleared the way for guys like me.
Yeah.
I met his daughter before.
You met Jackie Robinson's daughter?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
And what did he say? Life is nothing unless it has the impact it has on other lives.
That's true. I believe that too, but I believe life is nothing if you don't get to know yourself.
Yeah.
If we don't get to know this, it's a waste of life.
The unexamined life is not worth living. I don't know what that means.
If we don't come in tune with it, it's a waste of life. We
Yeah,
need to know who we are and be in tune with who we are and accept it. A lot of us don't accept who we are.
Right. I got a question for me. So if I am fearful to do this type of thing, right now I'm not scared, and that's probably because you're being nice to me. But is that a good way to live your life, just to confront fear? Because in my head, if I confront it, it'll make me stronger.
Yeah,
but is that ego?
It could be.
Yeah.
But listen, right?
Or do I just go home and watch TV and
you
chill
don't have
out?
to worry about it because it's like you say, it comes down to choice, right? And you're talking about confronting your fears are gonna confront you. You don't have to worry about confronting them. They're gonna stay with you.
In different forms, right?
No, they're with you right now. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You're confronting them, they're confronting you right now. You don't gotta worry about them, you gotta worry about you. How you gonna deal with the confrontation of your fears?
The response.
Don't worry about you confronting your fears. Your fears are confronting you now.
Right.
That's why you're talking about confronting them, because they're on us now. My fears are on me now.
In your prime in boxing, if you had fear, did you acknowledge it, or did you just try to say, I don't have any, I'm going to pump myself up and listen to Cus and all the great things he's saying?
I don't have this.
Or would you acknowledge
this
it?
This is an illusion.
But I knew it was there. You
This is
feel
my
it,
best
but
friend.
you had to feel it though, right? You had to feel it.
Absolutely.
So you
If
felt
fear
it.
came up right now, my whole body would change. My way of thinking would change. It's just not in my body right now.
So it would come up. You would say, I feel that fear.
And my body, my mind, my whole solar system would react to it. Boom.
But you were conditioned to overcome it.
Absolutely. But still have that feeling of nothingness, uselessness, but know my objective. And my only objective is to accomplish my objective, regardless of my feelings and my emotions.
See, mine was like if I was talking to someone and I had that fear in your stomach, like it's literally like someone put a gun to your head, it'd be no different. It's the same symptoms, and you can't think, right? But the more you keep doing it, you desensitize yourself gradually.
Hey, listen,
baby
let me tell you
steps.
something about guys. In prison, right, you see guys, and you say a big guy or a tough guy with a reputation comes into prison known for hurting people, they get afraid. And when these guys are afraid, then that's a problem. Somebody's gonna die.
Yeah.
So that happens when, that's also another side of fear. You understand that?
Explain that again.
If you're in prison,
Yeah.
if you're afraid of somebody, the guy everybody's afraid of is gonna be in a lot of trouble. Most likely he's gonna die if he doesn't confront them and say, hey, I don't want no trouble. He has to come and confront people, hey, I don't want no trouble.
Right.
He has to say, but if he comes in strong and the way he looks and he has that reputation, oh, he's in a lot of trouble.
You're saying the more aggressive you are, the more trouble you're going to be in?
Well, yeah, if you look like you're a guy, you can hurt people, you're one of those scary guys, they're afraid, but they're not afraid in the way that you think. They're not intimidated.
I see what you're saying.
They're just afraid.
I got you.
Because this guy can hurt you.
Yeah.
And nobody wants to get hurt.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
How about getting out of prison? That had to be, like, I'm talking about social phobia, where that had to
for
be.
a guy like me, I have 3 years, so I'm a guy got 33 years.
Man.
And he's been in there since he was 15 years old.
Man.
And he did 33. No, he already did 33 years, but he's been in there since he was 15.
Yeah.
How does he deal with society?
Can't.
He doesn't even want to come home.
There's no way. That's where you, like, anxiety, fear, and all that is avoid or confront. And if you avoid, your world becomes
You don't have
smaller.
no anxiety like that.
No way.
Not even know how to talk to people.
Perspective. Yeah, there's no way.
The only time you made love too is with a man. You don't know what it's like to have normal life, love life and stuff like that. Never been to a prom.
Did you talk to a lot of people like that?
Oh, they're there. What do you mean talking?
Yeah.
They're there. You can't help but not see them.
Did you help any of them? It's impossible. There's
know.
no way to help them. Yeah.
They were really excited that I was there.
Yeah.
They had a lot of fun with me. We had fun.
Right.
But listen, there's nothing to be afraid of but fear itself.
But fear itself's pretty scary.
Huh? No, it's not, because what is
Illusion.
fear?
Yeah.
What does fear look like in the physical aspect of fear? Physically, what does fear look like? Like, I want to know what a day of perspiration looks like. It's one day of life. What does it look like in physical aspect, in perspiration? What does it look like? One day of perspiration. If that day is over, 24 hours is over, and now you're sleeping, and if you're sleeping, I wonder if you're perspiration. Is that energy too? And you're burning weight when you're doing that? I wonder how it looks like physically. One fucking day of it's everything that you have. What does it look like physically? Perspiration, piss, shit, everything, all your energy, what does it look like? The weight. Physical.
For one day?
Yeah, for one, yeah.
It's about 12.
1 day of life, how much that weigh?
12 pounds.
1 day of life, you think?
It's like, how do you measure smoke?
Yeah, how do you?
You can't. Or maybe you can.
That we just don't know.
Yeah. Can I ask one other thing?
Yes.
So all the miles that you've traveled, you've gone from one end of yourself to the other. And you've come to this place. Is it hard to know who you are? Nobody really knows who they are, I guess, but just identity. Is it hard to know who you are given all the miles that have
No, I know who I am. I know who I am.
Maybe that's my problem. Maybe I don't know who I am.
Well, you should, before you die. That's what, we should, And sometimes you find out there's certain aspects about you that it's just not nice, that you don't like it. Maybe there's nothing they're not like. Some other people might like it, but you don't like it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But you have to say, hey, this is who I am. And once you don't like that guy and you just have a disagreement with him, then now that's going to throw off your balance in life. You have to accept it.
Acceptance.
And love it.
Yeah.
And respect it.
Yeah, you can't just always be butting your head up and fighting.
Don't do that.
Yep.
You have to keep your balance, and balance is love.
I need to try this toad thing, by the way.
The toad is magnificent.
I'm scared out of my mind. I'll end up like in the basement of somebody's house, like in a wheel spinning around.
No,
and,
you'll be the best you could possibly have.
Do you think it would help with anxiety for people and depression?
Listen,
Fear, maybe?
let's say 2 years ago, right? A year and a half ago, I was on drugs every day, cheating. I was just doing the most, trying to kill myself. I did the total, I changed my whole life.
Wow.
I don't talk to the people I used to talk to them. I don't get high.
Just from that one time?
Yeah, no, it's 2 times. The second time I did it, never been the same.
Never did any of that stuff?
Never did no more drugs again. Never been the same. Never been the same for like close to 2 years.
Has like a doctor ever said like this is why, or is it unknown?
No, it's I don't even know. No one can explain
No one
it.
knows.
If they say they can, they're fucking lying.
Yeah.
It's the closest thing to God I've ever experienced.
So I had 2 family members kill themselves in the same week 2 years ago. And like I said,
And that's what the toad is for, dealing with that.
Yeah, the end of life, right? Does it mimic kind of the end of life and what do you see? Do you see anybody you know in there when you're on the toad?
You feel them.
Are you trying to see anybody while to do it? Is that a...
No, listen. Ooh, this is what you gotta understand. What do you mean? Are you trying to find? You have no control. Look, you're still trying to hold on to control.
You can't steer the wheel.
You ain't got the toad you're not. This is what you're gonna find, that you're nothing.
And that's probably a lot of fears where you're trying to steer the wheel and control.
Listen. Whew. You have no power. That's the thing that blows everybody's mind, how powerless they are. Then they know they're in the presence of something divine. I don't know if it's God, but there's something divine.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like...
I can't even explain it.
It sounds like religion, like God, like you're not in control of the wheel.
It has nothing to do with religion. You don't know this time. This time stop. Time and space stop. Like we know no time exists.
And you're only on it for what, like 10 minutes, 15 minutes?
20 minutes, but
That's
it feels like 7,000 years.
Man.
You feel like when you wake up, you feel like you've been sleeping for days.
If you did it again, you wouldn't be afraid to do it?
You would be afraid every time you do it.
Every time?
I did it 10, 11 times. I'm going to do it. If I do it again, I'm going to be afraid to death. But I know once I do it, I'm so happy I did it.
Wow.
I don't even know why I'm afraid. I'm afraid because something good's going to happen.
Right.
Incredible. Because you die. You actually die.
Wow. So is that kind of like a cancer patient that lives? Maybe they're terminal, they live, and then they have a new perspective, and maybe they don't fear life and they're attacking life.
I've never been the same since I took it.
Wow.
I've never cheated on my wife again. I've never seen another. I never
Good for
did
you.
nothing. I never did another drug. I never drank again.
That's awesome.
Just smoked weed. I never did.
So you were
cocaine.
chasing the darkness, now you're chasing the light.
Hey, listen, I don't know. I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm not going to say that I'm divine. I just know I'm not who I used to be, and I'm happy for that.
That's awesome.
Listen, know what I realized about life? Just for me. I've seen people who had everything, all the money, the family, the rich bloodline family, anything they want to name it, whatever they want, it can't stop. It's just you can have whatever he want, any woman, anything. That money and wealth and all that stuff can buy and get you, right? And he feels like he's nobody. And then there's a guy that has nothing. He lives in a project apartment. He got the most beautiful girls in the neighborhood coming in and out of this creepy apartment. He thinks he's everything. He doesn't deserve everything. He never had, but he believes that he's everything. Now, how does that happen? I was told as a young kid, you could tell what kind of person a human being was when they die. And this is the ego's biggest accomplishment, but it wants to come to its own funeral. You know what I mean? The people with the biggest ego, they want to be able to go to their own funeral to see who came.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that?
Or, like conversely, one of the biggest fears is speaking in public, and then 2 is death. So people are more, the old joke, more afraid to give the eulogy than be dead. But all that stuff. They'd be more afraid to give the eulogy at their own funeral.
Wow, right? All this conversation, that's the one that got me laughing.
I thought you had heard that, but I guess
never.
Yeah, they'd be more afraid to give the eulogy at their own funeral.
Fuck.
But all these fears are BS, though. You know why? Because like my fear, yeah, I'm scared of people, and somebody's gonna be watching this like, that's not a fear. Come on. But then this Joby guy's jumping off a mountain. If you put me up to, and that's behind speaking. Heights are not as fearful as speaking. So it's BS, because if you put me on that mountain, where he's going, looking down, there is no way, my fear of people is going to be knocked out. Joby should just cure people.
I can't talk, I have a list and all this shit, but my ego tells me people need to hear me fucking talk. And I hate the way I talk. I'm embarrassed about my list and all that stuff, but my ego tells me they need to hear me. Nobody, because they need to hear me say. Even though this guy can say he's articulate, he's eloquent, but they need to hear it in my fucking voice. My ego tells me that.
Well,
so that keeps me from being afraid of talking in front of people.
Well, that's probably a good thing, though, right?
You know?
My girlfriend, we were watching you the other night, and she didn't know much about you other than you were heavyweight champ, right? And I've been obsessed forever. And she goes, man. First of all, we were both crying on the couch watching some of your amateur. I watched 2 of your amateur fights the other night, but she goes, he is like a poet. He's eloquent. I mean, people talk about Muhammad Ali, and I don't want to disparage him. I think you're in that same league.
You know,
I'm not talking boxing. I'm talking in terms of your eloquence.
Now listen, you know what? I have such a low self-esteem. I used to read all the authors. I read Machiavelli. I read Candice. I read all that stuff, Nietzsche and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And whatever I comprehend, I wanted people to think I was smart and stuff. So that's when people hear that, that's what that stems from.
Okay.
My low self-esteem, because I wanted to know.
I totally understand.
I wanted to know that.
I had teachers when I was growing up say I was stupid. I was tested for learning disabilities. All that. So I grew up my whole life thinking I was stupid.
So I searched for knowledge.
I still do.
I do too, but I still search for knowledge, everything. I know in Nepal, know what I know about Nepal? I know in Nepal they have monks up there, and all the monks keep a skull in their hut. And is it Nepal or somewhere in one of those countries?
Okay.
And I know they have that because that represents life. Life is a joke. All the skulls are smiling. It appears to be like this smile, but that emulates life. Life is a joke. Yeah. We take ourselves serious.
You're right, and that's probably why I get too scared. Like, who the hell? Who gives a crap, right?
Yeah. Who are you?
So if I come here and I fail and I leave with my head in my so what?
But listen.
Who cares?
What is failure? Who said you fail? Failure is a perception.
Right.
And some actual failure is a success in disguise.
You know what I was worried about?
Did you know that? Some failures are success in disguise.
Absolutely.
So we have to be careful.
Because it could set you down a wrong path or a different path if you keep chasing it.
Our perception of failure, what our perception of it is.
I kept thinking there's all these lights, there's cameras, there's people watching. All these people are watching me. What if I come in here and I screw up and I have a panic attack and then I'm thrown out? That's what I was thinking.
You know, Milton Berle, he's the great comedian, old Jewish comedian, like vaudevillian guy. He lived to be like 100 years old. And I thought like losing my fight with Buster Douglas, but I got 30 million something for that fight, right?
Yeah.
So he went like, I felt like a lawyer, I felt like a loser.
Yeah.
And he looked at me and he said,
30 million.
He said, what? That's not failing. Losing a fight to Buster Douglas in Tokyo and getting 30 million, that's not failing. You know, failing is going back to Brownsville.
Yep.
He said, that's failing. Failing is when you have to go back to Brownsville and live there. That's failing.
Can I ask, so do you think, first of all, you won that fight against Buster because it was 13 seconds.
Yeah, that's life.
I know. I know. But do you think some of your behavior that I guess you weren't proud of, we all do stuff, we're all flawed, whatever, but some of your behavior that you weren't proud of is the standard, this is a guess of mine, was a standard that Cus set for you?
No.
And then you knew it, you were going against it, and it bothered you?
No.
Inside the ring and out?
That's just,
So I'm way off.
My conduct back there was a form of lack of self-love.
Okay.
And I respond that way by acting the way that I did back then, violently, ferociously, to prove that I had no self-love. And it just all became a process of becoming the person I want to be.
That's amazing. Transformation.
Yes.
And who's your support system now?
Oh, my wife, my business partner,
you got some great people here. These people are awesome.
Everybody, I look at people as my teachers now more so than just friends and loved ones. Everybody I learn from. I learn about them.
How awesome is your wife?
My wife is my existence, and we're just
Yeah.
a team, and I'm learning so much from her. As long as we live together, I learn so much from just being with her.
And your kid is a tennis player, right?
Yes.
Is she pretty good?
She's very good.
That's awesome.
And I'm just very proud of her.
That's
Her name's
amazing.
Mike Tyson.
That's awesome. So your kids obviously probably go to good schools?
Yeah, listen, I always say my kids, they had a great life, but they need to know a little adversity. But adversity comes to everybody. They realize that. But yeah, sometimes I get jealous that they live a good life.
Hey, that's
they live
tough.
better than I did. Yeah.
That's hard when you.
They have no worries about anything.
That's a hard thing.
Somebody always have to have a worry. Like if this don't work, the light's gonna be off. If this don't work, we can't eat tonight. They don't have no worry.
Is it too comfortable almost? Like they got to get out of their comfort
It
zone
could be,
and
yeah,
deal
it could
with
be.
some pain?
You know, but I always show them adversity. I always show them that they have to be kind to the people less fortunate than themselves.
You know what I like is
you don't have to necessarily give them, but be kind to them. Kindness is more powerful than charity. Mm-hmm. Kindness, can you believe that? It's kindness.
That makes sense.
Kindness. Only thing that supersedes kindness is food.
Because it's a need, it's a desire.
Nothing supersedes love. Nothing.
You're right.
Nothing. They had a test where they showed the science of love as a movie, and they had this monkey where he had a fake mother where you could go and get, compassion from, and they had food, and she did the food. The compassion thing, the love, just as much as the food. But the only reason she did the food because she needed to eat, but to have the energy to get the compassion. But if she didn't have to eat the food, she wouldn't even do the food.
It's like cocaine almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The love was more powerful than the food.
Right. That makes sense.
The love was more powerful than the food. That blew my mind. Then I realized when people break up and they get lovesick, they don't eat food. You notice that?
I haven't.
When people...
I used to just drink a lot of Miller Lite.
Divorce. When people get divorced, they don't eat. Or they have breakups and stuff, they don't eat.
Yeah.
So love, that proves from a scientific perspective that love is more powerful than food. Passion, love is more powerful than food.
And I think sometimes I lack in the love department because maybe I'm not great at giving it.
No, listen, this is what you are. I'm gonna tell you what you are, right? Everything you say, like you say you're not this, forgive, that's what you are. Because you're everything you think you are. Whatever you say you are, good or bad, that's what you are.
I think, therefore I am.
Yeah, so if you want to be that guy and not be able to give love, that's who you are. If you want to be the guy that say, I'm the most lovingest motherfucker that God created, you could be that guy too.
So I tell myself a lot of BS, it sounds like, maybe.
No. You tell yourself BS till it becomes reality. That's what affirmations was all about.
Yep.
What was his name? Emil Coué, the father of affirmations.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Give yourself who you are. Tell yourself who you are. Believe who you are.
And it's funny, when I was going through the anxiety, every day, I had to reprogram myself. So I did the same thing. I mean, probably not to the level you did with Cus, but like every day I brainwashed myself. And I positive thought, and then I worked.
I think a lot of people feel, there's a lot of famous people that say, hey man, you know what? I'm a shitty parent. You know what, they struggle with, like, I got all this and everybody thinks I'm so great. I don't even have a relationship with my daughter or my son.
And is that just being selfish, most likely?
No, it has to do with all about being self-absorbed. You know what I mean?
Values.
That's more important than my son's existence or my daughter's existence. You know, we have to have standards. That's what happens when you get conscious, then you got standards. I have standards now. 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I didn't have standards. I would cheat on my wife then. I won't cheat on my wife.
And this is all after Toad.
Yeah. Wow. The reason why I won't cheat on my wife is not because
some value
I'm madly in love with some value systems, because I have standards now. I love myself. I know what true love is. And true love is not giving myself out to anybody just because I have that feeling that I want to do it. I had no idea what love was, self-love. Self-love with me was having orgy, or buying beautiful, expensive suits and cars and houses and planes.
And it's empty.
Listen, how do you love yourself when you have secrets that you're ashamed of? How do you love yourself? How do you love yourself if you did an act that you think society would look frowningly upon you?
So when you were a kid, obviously you were caught up in a lot of that.
Yeah.
So that probably was hard to get rid of.
No, once you develop a willingness to die, nothing is important.
So you think Joe be scared? He's not even scared to die, is he? Most likely. If he's doing that thing, he ain't scared to die.
No, listen, he's not afraid to die, no. He's afraid to live.
What's
Living
that quote?
is so
There's
much
a quote.
harder than dying.
Yeah.
Oh, no, dying is easy.
Right,
Going
right.
over, you cross that line, it's over.
Yeah.
Imagine when you don't cross that line, we have to continue to go on.
I don't know who said it, but they have that line. It's, I wasn't afraid of dying. I was afraid that I never lived.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Mike, thank you.
Pleasure, brother.
It's an honor. Absolute honor.
All right.
All right. Hey, thank you.
Boy, this is a good day.
Is that okay?
It was beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, I believe it.